The clatter of plates, the incessant ringing of the order bell, and the demanding voices of hungry patrons formed a relentless symphony of stress in the Blue Spoon Diner. Sarah, a young waitress with eyes that held the weight of late nights and early mornings, felt like she was drowning. Every table seemed to need something, and her feet ached with a protest that echoed her inner turmoil. It was one of those shifts where everything felt like a personal affront. She'd started the day optimistic, rent was due, and a good day's tips could make all the difference. But optimism had been slowly chipped away, replaced by a gnawing frustration that threatened to boil over. A spilled coffee, a complicated order, a condescending remark about the temperature of the soup, each incident added fuel to the fire. Then he walked in. An older man, with kind eyes and a neatly trimmed gray beard, he seemed unassuming enough. He settled into a booth by the window, a beacon of calm amidst the lunchtime chaos. But to Sarah, in her frazzled state, he was just another mouth to feed, another demand on her already stretched thin patience. Just one, she snapped as she slapped a menu on the table, her voice sharper than intended. He looked up, his eyes meeting hers with a gentle curiosity. "Yes, just me today," he replied, his voice a low, soothing baritone. Sarah rushed off, muttering under her breath about demanding customers and impossible expectations. When she returned to take his order, her tone was still laced with irritation. "What'll it be?" He smiled faintly. "The special, please. And a cup of coffee." "Coming right up," she said, but there was no warmth in her voice, no hint of the genuine hospitality that good waitresses prided themselves on. The special, a chicken pot pie, was notoriously slow to emerge from the kitchen. As the minutes ticked by, Sarah's resentment grew. She imagined the man was judging her, adding to the pressure she already felt. When the order finally arrived, slightly burnt around the edges, she practically tossed it onto the table. "Here," she said curtly. "Enjoy." He looked at the pot pie, then back at Sarah. "Thank you," he said, but his gaze held a silent question, a curiosity that made her uncomfortable. She avoided his booth for the rest of the meal, focusing on other customers, wiping tables with unnecessary force, anything to avoid facing the quiet scrutiny she felt emanating from his corner. Finally, he signaled for his check. Sarah grabbed it, scribbled the amount, and slapped it on the table, barely making eye contact. She spun around and headed back to the counter, relief flooding her that this table was finally done. A few minutes later, he approached the register. Sarah barely looked up as she punched in the amount. He paid, leaving a small amount in tips. "Thank you," he said again, his voice still calm. Sarah mumbled a response, already thinking about the next table she had to clear. As he turned to leave, something made her look up. His eyes met hers, a flicker of sadness in their depths. "You seem overwhelmed," he said softly. Sarah bristled. "And what's it to you?" she snapped, instantly regretting her words. He didn't respond with anger or judgment. Instead, he just nodded slowly. "Just observation." "Have a better day," he said, and then he walked out. Sarah watched him go, a knot of guilt tightening in her stomach. She knew she had been rude, unfairly projecting her frustrations onto a customer who hadn't deserved it. She sighed, feeling a familiar wave of self-reproach wash over her. Later that evening, as the diner was winding down, the owner, a gruff but kind-hearted woman named Martha, approached Sarah. "Sarah, you had a visitor today," Martha said, her tone unreadable. Sarah braced herself. "I know, Martha. I wasn't my best today. I was rude to a customer. I apologize." Martha nodded, her eyes softening. "He didn't complain, dear. In fact, he did the opposite. He left this for you." Martha handed Sarah a folded piece of paper. Confused, Sarah unfolded it. It was a check, made out to her for a substantial amount of money. Her eyes widened in disbelief. Beneath the amount, a short note was written in elegant handwriting: "Use this to take some time for yourself. Remember to be kind, always. Even when you're overwhelmed. Arthur Penhaligon." Sarah's breath caught in her throat. Arthur Penhaligon. The name was familiar. Then it hit her with the force of a tidal wave. Arthur Penhaligon was one of the most renowned philanthropists in the state. He was known for his quiet generosity, his support of local businesses, and his unwavering commitment to kindness. He was also incredibly private, rarely seeking recognition for his good deeds. Shame flooded her so intensely, it almost brought her to her knees. She had been rude, dismissive, and frankly, cruel to a man who dedicated his life to helping others. And he, in return, had offered her compassion and understanding. "Martha," she stammered, I can't accept this. I was awful to him." Martha placed a comforting hand on Sarah's shoulder. "Honey, Mr. Penhaligon asked specifically that you accept it. He said, she needs it more than I do. He saw something in you, Sarah. Don't disappoint him." Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes. She realized that Mr. Penhaligon hadn't just given her money, he had given her a second chance, a lesson in humility, and a powerful reminder that even the smallest act of kindness can have a profound impact. The next day, Sarah took Martha's advice. She took a day off, the first one in months. She didn't spend the money on rent, not yet. Instead, she did something for herself. She went to a local park, sat under a tree, and simply breathed. She allowed herself to feel the sunshine on her face, the gentle breeze in her hair. She thought about Mr. Penhaligon, about his quiet dignity, his unwavering kindness. When she returned to the Blue Spoon Diner, she was a changed woman. She greeted each customer with a genuine smile, even the difficult ones. She listened patiently to their complaints, offering solutions with a newfound grace. She treated everyone with respect, regardless of their appearance or their perceived importance. She never saw Mr. Penhaligon again, but his presence lingered in the diner, a constant reminder of the power of kindness and the importance of humility. She often wondered why he chose to show her such grace, but she suspected it was because he saw in her a potential for goodness, a spark that she had almost extinguished with her anger and frustration. From that day forward, Sarah lived her life with a renewed sense of purpose. She learned that everyone is fighting their own battles, and that a little bit of compassion can go a long way. She understood that judging others based on their outward appearance or their perceived imperfections is not only unfair but also short-sighted. And she learned that sometimes, the most valuable lessons come from the most unexpected encounters, from moments that force us to confront our own flaws and to strive to be better versions of ourselves. The encounter with Arthur Penhaligon remained etched in her memory, a constant reminder that even in the face of overwhelming stress and frustration, kindness and humility are always the best choices. The story of Sarah and Arthur Penhaligon at the Blue Spoon Diner serves as a profound lesson for us all. It reminds us that we never truly know what burdens others carry, and that a simple act of kindness can have a ripple effect that extends far beyond our immediate perception. It teaches us the importance of humility, of recognizing our own imperfections, and of striving to treat everyone with respect and compassion, regardless of their circumstances. It encourages us to be mindful of our interactions, to choose kindness over judgment, and to remember that even the smallest gestures can have a profound impact on the lives of others. So, let us all strive to be a little more like Arthur Penhaligon, extending grace and understanding to those around us, and remembering that true wealth lies not in material possessions, but in the kindness we share with the world. And now, as you reflect on this story, consider how you can incorporate these valuable lessons into your own life. How can you be more mindful, more compassionate, and more understanding in your daily interactions? What small act of kindness can you perform today that might make a positive difference in someone else's life? Stay tuned for more stories that will inspire you to reflect, learn, and grow. Subscribe to our channel and share this story with others, so that together, we can create a world filled with more kindness, humility, and understanding. Thank you for watching.